Champions of England, champions. Nah, guys, I'm joking. Hello and welcome to this CFC Talk podcast. And we are back again. What a night yesterday was, guys. A game 3-1 against Brighton. Not the best of our performances, and we didn't see much of our signings. We only saw Kai Havertz and Werner make their debut. Still, a lot of players needed to be added to the squad list, and a lot of the players need to be added back into the team before we can get back to full flash. But 3-1, a result anyways, 3 points. Welcome to the podcast. Amart and Alex.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm so happy with the result.
It's always great to have you as well. Alex, welcome back again.
Thank you very much to be on. Yeah, I'm so happy that we got a good result against Brighton. It wasn't the most prettiest win ever, but it's a win nevertheless, and some good talking points, some positives, and negatives to talk about. So yeah, great to be on again.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. Kepa was really bad. Again, a lot of positives and negatives. Kepa was still bad. And, there's a chance that we may have a really good match against Liverpool. Kepa was still bad. Anything else, guys? I would say that sums it up.
Guess what Mohammad has highlighted yellow and circled on his
If I don't know if I should do it or not. I would love to release these notes out to the public, and the first thing you would notice on the orange highlight would be a very nice term used to describe Kepa's performances. I think that's 4 words. Yeah, 4 words to describe Kepa's performance.
When we get to 100 subscribers, we release.
Exactly.
Yeah, but what a game it was, guys. It was. I would say, let's let's do a rating. Let's do it that way. Alex, out of 10.
I go 6.5. I think it was definitely not pretty, and at some points thought we were really on the back foot. Brighton are definitely the score. I think 3-1 reflects quite unfairly on them. I thought Brighton were really strong in a lot of the time in the game, especially Lamptey. Lamptey kicked our asses on the right side, on our left side. Sorry, again he kept taking on Mount and Alonso, and yeah, so I'm going to go 6.5. I think there are some good points from the game for sure.
Yeah, that's a fair rating, I would say. Amar, your rating?
I'm going to give it 6. I'm going to give it a 6 because there was no indication from us that we were in control of the game. We got goals, yes, and this is what we were missing last season. Because if we were playing last season, if this game happened last season, we would have probably lost. But this season, it seemed like even though we didn't control the game, we still got the goals. We still used our chances. So I'm going to give it 6 point. I'm going to give it 6 over 10 because Brighton controlled the game from start to finish, and like Alex said, Lamptey was completely tearing Alonso apart. He was just running him up and down. I don't think he was dispossessed in the whole game. So yeah, 6 over 10 performance for me. It's not bad. It's not a bad rating, but I think it's fitting for the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think I what I wrote down on my messy notes was 6.5 and 6. And obviously, it wasn't the best of starts. We all know it. I think the first 10, 15 minutes, it was a scare for Chelsea. And I think we all felt like, oh no, have we just spent 200 millions to get defeated by Brighton and be trolled all over again by every single football Twitter? But yeah, luckily didn't happen tonight. Great goals from Reece James, Zuma, of course, that deflection one at the end, and then Jorginho with that penalty. But guys, starting from the first 15 minutes, if I'm pretty sure we all felt a bit nervous going into kickoff, but did those first 15 minutes worry you, Amart?
Yeah, the first 15 minutes, not the first 15 minutes, I'll say like the first 20, 25 minutes. Brighton was in full control of the game. We had a chance or two. There was one chance where Werner was offside, and then I think there was another one too that he didn't get to the ball on time. I think there was a miscommunication between him and RLC and Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and we I think we missed the chance. But apart from that, Brighton were all over us. They were in our half more than we were in their half, and it is understandable because we are at their home, so it wasn't really expected of us to control the game on their first game. Definitely, they are going to control the game, and since it's their home, they want to prove a point. So, but they played really well. You can clearly tell that the plan that they came with, they executed it perfectly. It was just that we took our chances and they didn't. That's all. So I was worried, but I wasn't worried because even though they were pressing us, they weren't really worrying Kepa. They weren't really worrying Kepa at all. But they were in control of the ball most of the times during that first period.
I mean, the only time they worried Kepa, it went back into the net.
Yeah, exactly.
Alex, the first 15 minutes, how would you describe them?
Yeah, nervy for sure. It's hard to split the first half of the first half and the second. Kind of just remember it as this mash up of us being under pressure, Lamptey, and a couple of the other players taking shots from the right side and putting some decent crosses in. But so yeah, it was nervy for sure. But then all it took from us though was just to capitalize on them trying to play out from the back, which I think they probably went in the guys probably went into the game knowing. I mean, it's admirable of Brighton to play this style of football. I think they had more possession than us in the game. Double check that.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. They definitely had more possession.
Yeah, they're a good footballing side. So it was that with some threatening players. But and to be fair, even on the right side with Havertz and James up against Solly March, March was getting past Reece a couple of times. So yeah, it was definitely they were threatening. But then all it took from us was just them making a mistake in the build-up, Jorginho capitalising on that mistake, and Werner just doing Werner things, running, just getting to the ball faster than anyone else can. So it was a very well won penalty too. But yeah, and after the penalty, we kind of calmed, I think, a little. And then yeah, I don't remember too much else in the first half. But Werner was very impressive for sure. His runs in behind were just it was one thing I was quite worried about this season. Like we never tended to play many balls over the top and in behind last season, but I think with Werner coming in, we kind of have to. And his movement was really good today, I thought.
Yeah, going back to your point about Werner tracking back, but I don't know if that was in the second half. It seems to be a bit of a. No, that was not Werner. That was someone else.
That was Havertz.
So yeah, that was Havertz in the 73rd minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we saw Werner do it quite a few times as well. He lost the ball, but he went back, and I think it was midfield. He got it back sometimes, and then he also made a run back into defense to help out in the early moments of the game. But in those first 15 minutes, I still felt like this was the same Chelsea played last year, and it could be because yes, we still have the option of adding in Thiago Silva. We still have the option of adding in Ben Chilwell. We still have the option of rotating players around. Pulisic is not ready, and Mount was playing out of position, I would say, in my opinion. So overall, there's a lot of room for improvement, especially in these first 15 minutes. But I think as the half progressed, I would say there wasn't a lot of change. Looking at Chelsea, and if I can remember, so in the 16th minute, was it, or in the 14th minute, we conceded a corner and they almost scored. It was, I think, who was it? Was it Lewis Dunk who almost scored really early on, and then he had another chance at the end, towards the end of the game. So, do you guys think like it's too early to judge Chelsea's performance and say, all right, this is still the first game, and I know there's still a very tough competition next week. Liverpool, we're playing champions. We're going to have to be on top of our games. If today we were below par against Liverpool, we're going to have to be above par. So do you guys think there's still going to be a lot of improvement that's going to happen by the time we play Liverpool Alex?
Yeah, I definitely think so. The guys have only been training together for I think Lampard said a couple or like four days. So yes, I wasn't expecting the team chemistry to be anywhere near where it's going to be in a couple of months probably. But yeah, by the time Liverpool comes around, I expect I pray that somehow Thiago Silva is integrated into the team. But then again, the centre backs were kind of good today, so it's a weird one. And yeah, I'm just hoping that maybe Pulisic can come back and just play less players out of position. I'm not so much of a fan of playing. I think it kind of looked like Mount and Loftus-Cheek, and then sometimes Mount and Havertz were playing out wide, and it was just it didn't work out that well for them, I don't think. But yeah, with an extra week's training, I expect I don't know. I expect the team that like the squad of players who are there. Who were here before the summer are still learning about these guys that are brought in. It takes time to expect where these players are going to run, when they're going to pass. It's going to take time to build that chemistry. So, but I expect some improvement at least to Liverpool, or I hope at least.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I think you said something about whoa, I just crashed it for a second. Sorry. I heard you mention that the chemistry in the team and everything that's going to build up to Liverpool's game. But Amart, going back to Alex's point, does Liverpool have an advantage over us on that specific area? Let's say we bring in, I think Pulisic should be able to play next week, and then maybe even Thiago Silva. So is that where we could get beat next week?
Yeah, definitely, because they have this well-oiled machine that they've been playing together for like 2 years. They won the Champions League together, and then they won the Premier League last year. So they have this chemistry that we lack. So definitely they'll have an advantage on over us, like in terms of chemistry. So yeah, that like the question you asked was if they will have an advantage. So yes, they will have an advantage over us. But I feel like we can still, this first game is like, how should I say it? If probably the new players were worried or they were nervous, this game kind of like reduces their nervousness a bit. I noticed that Havertz was a bit quiet. He was. I read this on the Discord page or on Twitter or somewhere like this, and I said he was efficient, but he wasn't effective. He did what he had to do.
Would you call this game an icebreaker for them?
Yeah, it is. It is. I think that was the word I was looking for. It didn't come to mind. It kind of is. It welcomes them into the league. It makes them see how the league is, and especially it was very good for us to play against Brighton because they are one of the tougher lower table teams, and they can give you a run for your money. Not like Liverpool or City or the big boys, because the big boys also want to win the games, then they attack more. But with the lower table teams, usually they sit back and defend and hit you on the counter and hit you on the, and it's very difficult to break down a team like that than the big ones. So I think it kind of like welcomes them to the league. It makes them feel or make them know how the league is. Then I was interviewed after the game, and he said that it's fast paced and it's more physical. So he's getting to know how it is. The friendly game they played, it was nowhere near as intense as this. So they've at least gotten to know the intensity. And like I said, Havertz was very quiet. You could see he was shy. He was less confidence in certain parts and all that. And you could tell sometimes he couldn't make passes. Sometimes he couldn't run, because there were some runs that I saw Havertz make. I was like, nah, you run faster than this. And there were some runs, there were some runs that Werner also made. I was the same way. I was like, you run faster than this. I've seen you run faster than this. So you could tell they were nervy. They were very nervous. And hopefully before the Liverpool game, they'll be able to get out all those nervousness. And Pulisic will be around. Pulisic will also be charging down the wing. So probably that will also give them the necessary how do you say, the necessary push to perform better in the next game.
I mean, we talk about all of these new players, but someone who's been at the club, academy player Reece James, what a match he's had. Amart, that goal, when he was running forward, did you think that was going to go in when he shot that?
To be honest, I didn't even think he was going to shoot. But because we've had these situations where players get into that position, instead of them to shoot, they pass. So I was like, I had no idea I was going to shoot. But when he took that shot, I was like, this is a goal, because the way it was angled, I think it was from 25 yards out, and the way it was angled,
it was a tracer bullet.
Yeah, the way it was angled, you could clearly see that the keeper was nowhere near that. And the keeper, their keeper also wasn't as good at all. I think the defenders helped him a lot. The keeper wasn't really good. He nearly gave a ball away to Werner in the first half, so we weren't trying him enough. And Reece was the perfect person to try him, and he did really well. And the whole game, I'll say he was our best player. Probably Kante will be second. I didn't see Kante in the Chelsea Twitter page post, but I think he also had a fantastic game. Kante had a fantastic game, and Reece was a little bit above him. He was stopping the balls on the right hand side. He was stopping attacks. He was whipping in crosses, and what we've learned to love from Reece, and that new hairstyle, I'm loving it. So yeah, he was.
Amart's gonna go get one of those next week.
Probably my boss won't allow me to enter the office anymore.
Alex, man of the match performance from Reece James, a goal and assist, 41 passes, 3 interceptions, 6 duels, 1-3 in the air, 100% tackle rate. Does it get any better than this?
It really doesn't. I mean, it was almost pretty much a perfect performance from him. I'm really glad he put it in in a game where, I mean, Lamptey is often often a conversation in terms of how we let him go or he decided to leave because he couldn't get in the team ahead of Reece James and Nasby. So it was really satisfying to see him put in just have a golazo and a good corner for the assist too. It was nice to see that Reece is taking all our corners now too. I think he did take every single one, which is a nice change from Williams. But then again,
I was gonna say, how good is that now?
But I don't know why he wasn't taking them all before, because his technique, his crossing technique is just amazing. So yeah, it was really satisfying to see him put in we need more of these, I think, and then eventually he'll kind of get into that conversation with Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I mean, to be fair, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's, I think it's an interesting conversation between him, Wan-Bissaka, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I think just with a couple more of these man of the match performances, he's gonna definitely be. I mean, he's gonna really get into that conversation, I think. But to be fair, he's already in it. But he's gonna start winning people over, definitely.
But tonight, when Reece James was mentioned, I think you were going to say something.
No, I'm just agreeing with what he said.
But tonight we saw Reece James start, which again is a very good thing for Chelsea. We're getting youngsters in. We know he's got a very bright future. Someone like Reece James, he's probably got another 5 to 7 years at Chelsea at least. But we saw the benching of Cesar Azpilicueta. As a Chelsea fan from almost 7, 8, 9 years, it hurts to see Azpilicueta at the bench. But again, I think there comes a time where every player, every captain has to step aside and give way for other players. How important is Azpilicueta now during this season, seeing tonight's performance? I mean, he did come on, but not for a long time. So, Alex, are we going to see him start against Liverpool or throughout the season, or is it going to be the same way we did with Gary Cahill, and then he'll be ready to leave by the end of the season or next season?
I'm not so sure. It is only one game, so we can't make too many judgments on it. But Azpi did come on at the end of the game, and then we saw how adaptable Reece is, and he came into DM with Kante, and I gotta say, the Kante Reece James partnership in midfield, Oh,
Fantastic.
Do we need Rice now? Do we even need Rice now?
see
It
it.
was fantastic.
Not even
They
fussed.
were in total control of that midfield.
Yeah, it is amazing, and I really want to see it in the future, especially when we have Chilwell. I mean, yeah, so Chilwell will come in and make that left back spot his own, and Azpilicueta is good enough to still have that right back spot. So yeah, I'm totally for Reece James coming in and making a partnership with Kante.
Like
Yeah,
Alex mentioned, Amart,
yeah.
Kante and Reece James partnership at DM. Are we going to see that a lot more this season? And if this partnership, let's say within the next 2-3 weeks, is incredible, are we still going to target someone like Rice?
I think Rice is still a target for Chelsea, the Chelsea board. He would be a good addition, like we've already said before. He can rotate with Kante, but Reece as at DM with Kante was just a joy to watch because it was like they understood each other. They were syncing and they really took control of that midfield. So probably if there are two scenarios, if Reece plays on right back at right back, probably Lampard can go with the three at the back with Aspi, Thiago, and then either Rudiger or Christensen, who was also fantastic tonight, maybe yesterday. And then so if we go with that, we'll see Reece at right back. But if we play the same formation that we play today, or let's say a four at the back, probably he might rotate with Aspi. Or considering how good they were today, it might give Lampard new ideas and starting just pairing with DM and pairing with Kante at DM, and that means somebody might miss out. So I don't want to be in Lampard's shoes now because I know he has a difficult job to do. All those players, all those quality players, he has to put them in somehow. And
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I totally agree with you, Amar. You know, Lampard's got a very tough decision here every week. Sit down and have such a good squad in front of him, and having to pick only 11 out of those. So it would, as a Chelsea player, you'd have to work double the time and put in more hours and just work at double more hard.
yeah, to be fair, like to add to what you said, when I saw the lineup, I literally got goosebumps because the lineup was so good. It was so good. It was, and we don't have Ziyech in the lineup. We don't have Pulisic. We don't have Chilwell. We don't have Thiago Silva, and yet the lineup was still amazing to watch and to see. To see Werner and Havertz in the lineup was just something else. I literally got goosebumps looking at that lineup. So imagine all those players are ready and fit. Lampard really has a tough job on his hands.
Yeah, I mean, give him 200 million, he'll make it tough. Anyways, I think we need to talk about the elephant in the room. I'll give you guys each a guess to guess who it is.
For me, I think there are two.
Ooh,
Yeah, two.
Yeah, there's two.
might have a
There is two.
Yeah,
You
there
can't
are two.
that
Um,
Kepa had a worse game than
yeah,
Loftus. You really cannot. At least
yeah,
had a good moment.
exactly. Kepa and Loftus Cheek were they weren't good. They weren't good.
But can we excuse Loftus-Cheek? You know, he's come back off a very, very bad injury, and I mean, for a player at his age, yes, he should be playing better than what he played tonight. But again, he hasn't had much of football. We only saw glimpses of his appearances after the project restart, and then now this is his first actual game of starting. I would consider it, but do we still have to go after him and say, hey, you didn't play well? And do we still have to criticize his performance at Mart?
Because we won, there's no point criticizing his performance. But if we had lost, definitely he would have been probably one of the reasons why we lost or something because he couldn't give a pass. He couldn't hold the ball. He couldn't hold on to possession. He was given simple passes here and there, but there was this counter attack. I don't know if you guys saw it. There was this counter. Kante gave him a fantastic pass, and he ran and gave it to Werner. Werner passed to him, and they were on the counter. Instead of him to give Werner an early pass, I think he was trying to put it between the legs of the Brighton defender, and it failed. I was so angry at him. You see, the thing is, I like Loftus-Cheek as a player, and I believe he's a good player, but there's no doubt that injury did a number on him. That injury affected him physically. It affected him psychologically. So you can clearly see that he lacks confidence in playing. That's not the same Loftus-Cheek we saw 2-3 years ago. That's a completely different Loftus-Cheek that we are seeing now. So yes, he needs time, but the fact that he was playing, he also deserves equal criticism like any other player. Because if we had lost, it would have been from some of his mistakes, some of his chances that he could have passed and he didn't pass, and there were some times he didn't communicate well with Werner. I think Amart did well by taking him off after the second half, because I probably if he had taken him off during the half.
Just a second, Amart. I think, was it just me or Alex? Amart's voice just cut out for a bit.
Cut out for like a couple of 5 seconds, a couple of seconds.
Okay, so what I said, you didn't hear you didn't hear everything.
Well, it was not everything. Just the last 5 to 7 seconds.
Oh, that everything. Yeah, okay. I was saying that Lampard did well to take him off during second half instead of taking him off during the halftime, because I felt like it might have shattered his confidence even more, because he wasn't really confident in the whole game, and he wasn't really performing at the level that we know he performs at. That would take time, definitely, because of the injury. But as long as he played, he definitely deserves criticism, because you're going to rate them. You're definitely going to rate him too. So we'll pardon him because we won, but he shouldn't continue those performances.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We need to give him some time. I mean, yeah, Chelsea fans will give him a lot of stick. You know, we have so many options in midfield that every midfielder has to play at their best ability to be chosen. But the other unchosen one, my favorite player on the team, I'm tempted to say I would buy a Tottenham jersey, not buy a jersey with Kepa on it.
Oh wow!
I think I'll leave Alex to talk about Kepa. I don't want to talk about Kepa.
Yeah, no fairness. I mean, we'd love to see we can excuse him a bit, because I mean, whilst I'll criticize his performance and his decisions making, yeah, I think we should still give him a free pass for basically another 6 months to try and get back to where he used to be. Because he was out for 13 months. So yeah, if he's not back to his best in like basically by the end of the season, then I think we can be worried. But until then, it's just trying to get back to what he was. But on the Kepa situation, yeah, his positioning, he had one good moment and one bad moment, and what else can you say? Yes, if we hadn't scored the 2 extra goals and we'd been left with a draw, I guess yeah, we'd be pretty mad. We would have good reason to be mad at Kepa, but he looks more confident, and he did pull off one good save. But yeah, it's I do see where you're coming from, Mohammed. It's not good enough, really. The guy is there to keep clean sheets, to save us when we need him to, and the trust just isn't there. So yeah, it wasn't. You can't say Kepa was good, and he did make a big mistake for the goal, but it's just it is one goal. Goalkeepers make mistakes. But yeah.
Well, would you call it a mistake? I mean, was it 27 or was it 30 yards out?
Yeah.
And,
well, to be fair, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was like just outside edge of the box, and it was bouncing as well. It dips just before it got to him.
Okay, I give him the benefit of the doubt, but
it bounced right in front of him. It bounced right. It didn't bounce before. It bounced right in front of him. Before, I think he dived too late. I think that was the problem. He dived too late.
Yeah, agree.
So the ball passed before he dived.
Yeah.
See, the thing is the built up frustration. It's not just one game. It's the built up frustration. We all want him to be good. I know some fans don't want him in the team at all, but we all hope he'll be better. But this constant mistakes and racking up mistake after mistake after mistake, I think it's getting frustrating. It's getting a bit frustrating. Even so, today's game kind of like made me happy that we are getting Mendy. If Mendy goes through, fine, then he will be a good how to say competition for him. Because if Mendy was there, probably with his longer hands, he would have got that. He would have, but you never know. So
Yeah.
for now, we have
Sure.
Kepa.
It's just the annoyance with his positioning too. His positioning for the one thing I'll admit Kepa got completely wrong with the goal was his positioning. The ball kind of shifts from the edge of the box to cut a bit more central, and Kepa doesn't move. He doesn't adjust with that, and then they shoot, and he's kind of like on he's a bit too far to his left, and then by the time he dives, the ball's about a foot. If only his arm was a bit like a foot longer, he probably would have
Yeah,
got to.
exactly.
But yeah, his positioning,
Exactly.
like we've seen so many times, his positioning is poor. His reflex is good, and I thought his pass. He actually made some pretty decent, accurate long passes today, which I don't really normally. I mean, at least last season we didn't really see anything to write home about his passing. But
Yeah,
today,
I think he found Werner 2 times or 3 times
yeah,
with a pass,
yeah,
a long pass.
yeah, there were some good long passes. But then, yeah, it's just his weaknesses are just a bit too apparent. And yeah, his positioning and his inability to claim. There are a couple of set of corners where he kind of just flapped at the ball and he didn't claim them. And yeah, it's just need Mendy in to. It's a shame because I think when Mendy does come in, he'd probably assert himself as the number one unless he messes up hugely. But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's it's clear. I think even rival fans know that. It's so clear that rival fans know that Lampard doesn't trust Kepa.
yeah,
I mean, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt if you guys say so. I'll still stick to my statement of buying a Tottenham jersey than wearing Kepa's jersey, but it is what it is. But both Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Kepa both rated the worst players in the team. I'm not saying they're the worst ever. But moving on from this debate, just to end it all, the Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Kepa, what are we going to rate them, guys? Amart.
Kepa, I'm going to give Kepa a 5. I'm going to give 5/10, and then I'm going to give Ruben a 4.5 because I feel like he was the worst Chelsea player. I'm not the worst player on the pitch tonight. I'm saying tonight again.
I mean, it was a tough competition tonight. A lot of the players showed up like we're playing regular football, even off season. But yeah, Alex, your ratings?
yeah, I would probably agree with Amart. It's a five, a 5 for Kepa seems fair. He wasn't awful. He just made a bad mistake, and then 4.5 for Loftus-Cheek seems about fair too. He just made poor decisions, and kind of reminds me of last season's Barkley, just making. I mean, to be fair, even today, Barkley made. Actually, yeah, we haven't talked about. Sorry, firstly, Loftus-Cheek. Yeah, his decision making was very poor and just losing the ball a bit too much for our liking. Also, I think just before we end, I think Barkley doesn't. I mean, it's a bit surprising we haven't talked about Barkley because I thought when he came on, I mean, he didn't get a goal or assist, but he maybe it's just because Loftus-Cheek was so poor that we thought Ross Barkley
Yeah.
looked amazing, but he did. I thought
To be fair, he was. To be fair, he was very good. To be fair, he
yeah,
was very, very good when he
he
came
came
on.
on and he made the most of the time, other than the one time where he could have played Werner through, I think, and he just delayed it way too late. But other than that, he made the right decision most of the time. He made all his passes and just making quick decisions most of the time. So I was quite happy for him to come on. I was quite happy with his performance. Biff, and also, yeah, just most happiest with Kante and Reece James's performance.
I think out of all of the players that we had on the field, we would say we had a lot of options in the midfield, even after doing substitutions. And when you have so many options, you might see when you have so many good options in the form of Havertz, Mason Mount, Kante, even Jorginho, I would say today was pretty well, played well today. But when you have players like Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Ross Barkley, then you start to pick out a lot more of their mistakes. I don't know how much of it you guys would agree with, but with me, it's like if I see Havertz playing in a certain way, and then if I see Ross Barkley coming on instead of Havertz, and I'm like, oh no, this is the third pass that he's done wrong, I would say no, Havertz is better, but because we know that Havertz is actually better. But does this happen to you guys as well?
Sorry, I don't understand very much what you're asking. Was it like when we brought on Barkley about his decision making?
I was saying is, are we getting too critical about our midfield area? I mean, we have so many options. We were still struggling to figure out a way outside of Ross Barkley and Ruben Loftus-Cheek. So is it because we've got such good midfielders now that we're picking out these mistakes, or were these mistakes from last season, but we weren't picking them out because we didn't have as many options?
No, I think what you're asking. I think the thing is we are criticizing them on their performance against Brighton, not like their performance previously or in a whole. What we are doing is like criticizing them on how they performed during the Brighton game. So what we saw, the mistakes we saw, from my part, the mistake I saw is what I'm talking about. So I'm not comparing Ruben to anybody else. It's just that Ruben, like Alex said, Ruben wasn't doing much on the field. So when Barkley came on, he added more energy. He added more attack. He was moving forward a lot. He was falling back to a lot. Ruben wasn't doing that. So because there's a massive difference between their performances today, you can clearly tell who was better in that position today.
I mean, also our standards for the midfield are higher, to be fair, with all the choices that we have. But yeah, I don't think our points were nitpicks. I think our points that we made are genuine criticisms of the performance. Like, I think it was we were being quite objective. I think we weren't saying, oh, he was much worse than someone else. We're just saying Loftus-Cheek just made bad decisions that you kind of expect, like Loftus-Cheek of 2018-19 season, that he probably would have made. But it is a little harsh because he's still recovering from his injury. But you can't. I think the criticism is still warranted because you could argue Barkley should have started instead, or Hudson-Odoi should have started instead. But Loftus-Cheek needs the minutes to get back. He's not just gonna just train a load and then magically become like he used to. He needs the minutes. So it's annoying, it's frustrating, but happy to have him get minutes on his journey to becoming how he used to be.
Yeah, I mean, there's a long season ahead. Champions League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, and hopefully a very good season ahead. I think that sums up our preview for this. Anything you guys want to add on to what we've already discussed?
Yeah, the only thing probably I'll add is the substitutes that came on, they really did well. Like I think Aspi was good. Barkley was, like you just said, you spoke about Barkley, was also really good. And Hudson-Odoi was very good. Like Alex said, it makes you wonder why he didn't start, but we still won the game. So, but when he came on, he showed a lot. He was clicking. He was working with Werner very well. Probably if he had started, Werner would have gotten a goal or something. So yeah, I just want to point out like those three had good performances. And Christensen was also good today.
Yeah, I mean, there was a debate going on the, I don't know if you guys heard it, but on the commentary they were talking about how the Premier League opted to only use 3 substitutions, and big teams are the only ones that are going to get affected by this because usually they have benches which are probably worse than most of the teams who have a playing 11. But yeah, it's all part and parcel of the play. Long season ahead, long road, especially with the next week. We've got Liverpool, and then I think we've got a Carabao Cup game in midweek. So thick and fast the games will come. We'll probably see a lot more players play. And hopefully we can move Kepa and Ruben Loftus-Cheek to the Carabao Cup competitions and just forget about them. In the Premier League, Caballero, Mendy, let's get you gone and let's get you guys on it as well. But anyways, hopefully, as I started this podcast with Champions of England at the end of the season, we'll all be singing that together, guys, as a contract, as a new contract of CFC Talk.
You really want your prediction to come true.
I think I've got the best prediction so far, so I would consider myself.
We'll all celebrate with you when it comes true.
Sure.
Special trophy for my predictions. Anyways, we mentioned that we would give a shout out to the top of the table in our league for the fantasy, but luckily this time it's no one except myself. But number second was 25 points behind me. So good luck to you. I'm not going to mention your name yet. Let's just look at Alex and Amart. Amart, I think you made a few wrong decisions. We had a conversation about this.
I did. I didn't captain Salah, and then I made wrong. I chose wrong players. Pulisic didn't start, and Havertz didn't have a good game. Werner, my captain, didn't score. So I rather not comment. I won't comment about it.
At least
Insert Mourinho meme.
Yeah, I have nothing to say. At least you didn't go triple Tottenham. I was really hoping that. I mean, Tottenham's fixture list looks really good, so I thought I'll go with them, and they happened to just put an absolute disaster class in yesterday. So yeah,
I put in Doherty from Tottenham, and I got 2 points for him. But the one player I was really surprised by was Alisson. I put him in. I was like, okay, he can't do as bad as Kepa. I mean, surely not. And sees 3 goals. I'm like, okay, maybe 5 points, 2 points, 1 point.
Yep.
I'm honestly
1 point.
It's crazy. 3 goals. You know, it was almost 4-4 as well. Trent Alexander-Arnold almost scored a crazy own goal. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw it, but I think Leeds player was played in. He was one-on-one with the keeper, chips it over Alisson, and then Trent runs around him. He basically beats the Leeds attacker to the ball, and then Trent heads it, try and clear it, and
I saw it.
And he heads it into his own net. It's like,
yeah.
What?
I think the Leeds striker was offside, so that goal didn't count.
Yeah,
he was so fortunate.
As much as we would like to criticize Chelsea, I think all the Premier League teams are struggling at the start, and it's just part and parcel of the play. You know, we haven't had such a big season, pre-season. Usually, we see the big clubs go outside of the UK, and probably I think we usually go to Singapore or either Japan to play our pre-season. So it's going to be a struggle for most teams. But yeah, Liverpool next week, which will be very interesting. Thank you guys for joining, Amart and Alex. Great to have you back again.
Yeah, same. Always a pleasure, especially if we come after a win. I hope we always come after a win. No losses this season.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Mike. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun season for sure. And looking forward to seeing the different moods that we come onto this podcast in if we have depending on the result.
The Liverpool's going to be one of the interesting ones. I think I'm going to lose my voice in that if we score more than 2 goals. But yeah, Werner and Havertz have got a very good, important job to do against Liverpool. They've got to prove Klopp that those signings were worth it, and he missed out, and he's just salty and going after Frank Lampard even after he got shut down by him in that last league match. But anyways, guys, that's all from us. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and leave a like, rating, comment below what you think the score will be against Liverpool, as well as your ratings for the players. And we will give you a shout out, like your comment, and post on our stories. Again, it was a pleasure having a conversation with both of you guys. Hopefully we're in the same mood against Liverpool, even better. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.